Permanent Secretary Mutea Iringo denies that he has ever bribed any member of parliament. Iringo is currently appearing before the Parliamentary Privileges Committee, which is probing bribery claims against members of the Parliamentary Accounts Committee. KTN's Aaron Ocheng is following those particular proceedings, and he now joins us on phone for further details. Aaron, good afternoon. If you can hear me, Iringo has denied ever bribing a member of parliament. What is he using as his defense?
Well, the burden of proof lies with the committee to prove that indeed Permanent Secretary, Principal Secretary Iringo received bribes. So he has denied even meeting members of the Public Accounts Committee outside the parliamentary chambers when they're conducting business. He has also denied ever giving members of parliament Samuel Arama, Ibrahim Abbas, Abab Namwamba, and also Cecil Mbarire that the famous step indicated that they had met Iringo at a city hotel and gave the money. So he's also saying that the public accounts report of 2013-2014 that implicates him as having embezzled funds as not true, and dismissing the report as being meant to tarnish his name. So he had a very short, brief stint with the members of the Privileges Committee, and all he did is to deny all accusations against him. Betty.
Aaron, maybe finally, who else is set to appear before the committee today or tomorrow morning?
Well, today we are not very sure, but Ababu Namwamba, the Budalangi Member of Parliament, is set to be recalled as the last person before the committee can sit down and come up with a report. So maybe later today or tomorrow we are going to see Ababu Namwamba being recalled to give more evidence.
All right, Aaron Ocheng, thank you very much, giving us the details of what took place today at the Powers and Privileges Committee, where, of course, those hearings on the PAC are still in continuing. Let's now take a look at what Mutea Iringo had to say this morning in his defense.
Let it go on record that I, Mutea Iringo, have never bribed any member of Public Accounts Committee. And actually, it defeats logic that one can bribe for doing what he must do, for doing his official duties. There was no room. Nobody asked me for money. I never gave any money. And this allegation is total lies. It is calculated to demean my character assassination, and achieve other objectives.
Well, Aaron Ocheng will have more details of that particular story in our subsequent bulletins. Let's move on. Residents of Taita Taveta are under threat of starvation following a long-term lack of rainfall in the area. Voi River, which has for a long time been the source of water in the area, has now dried up. Well, farmers in the area have decried the situation, saying that there is hardly any water for irrigation, resulting in poor harvest and food insecurity. Livestock have also been affected due to lack of grass for grazing. The county government has been distributing a relief food to the residents, who are, however, calling for long-term solutions to the problem.
Liverson Mwadibe,
makofi mazuri wanapopewa jamani, makofi mazuri.
Magdalena,
kazi nzuri.
Salama.
Asante sana. Asante sana.
Ikiwa maji yamekauka mtoni, inabidi mpaka tuchimbe mashimo ndo yale maji yapate, ile chemchemi ya maji sasa tupate, ndo tufanye nini, ndo tupate ya maji ya kupiga irrigation. Na ikiwa ni visima ambayo tumechimba, ikiwa ni shamba ya kama nusu heka, tutapiga irrigation kwa siku 3 ama 4.
Ikiwezekana kama kuna mradi wote at least utakapae within Taita Taveta nzima, kufuata kama ni Mndai, ni Mwatate, ni Voi, maeneo kama haya. Maana sasa ukame jangu ndio limezidi.
A 23-year-old man has been arrested after a vehicle suspected to have been used in a robbery was intercepted last night in Nakuru. His accomplices, however, escaped. The suspects are said to have robbed a house in Jambo village near Lanet area in Nakuru. Well, they are alleged to have stolen assorted items including a TV set, water dispenser, beddings and a microwave. Nakuru OCPD Bernard Kioko says the police acted on a tip-off after the four armed men forced their way into the victim's home. Two of them were in AP and prison officers' uniform. Still in Nakuru, a 42-year-old polygamous man who was on Saturday arrested for allegedly defiling his two daughters has appeared before a Nakuru court this morning. Samson Otieno denied two charges of defilement and indecent act committed to his daughters aged 9 and 7.
Appearing before Children's Court Senior Resident Magistrate Judika Stanthuku, Samson Otieno, who allegedly defiled his two daughters aged 9 and 7, denied the two charges of defilement and indecent act. His lawyer Olali Cheche wanted him released on bond on grounds that he had other pressing matters to attend to. But Senior Resident Magistrate Judika Stanthuku said she needed time to examine the evidence of the complainants before deciding whether to release him on bond. Prosecutor Samuel Kamau told the court that the two children are still at the Nakuru branch of the Nairobi Women's Hospital, where they were taken for treatment. The suspect was arrested on Saturday morning and detained at Teachers Police Post in Nakuru. One of the minors is said to have revealed her father's alleged act in school after her teacher noticed she had difficulty walking and sitting. The suspect will, however, be remanded until March 26th when the court will rule on his bond application. Kamche Menza, KTN.
Bright but needy students who cannot secure higher education due to lack of school fees now have a reason to smile after the Jim McPhee Education Fund launched a campaign that seeks to raise 100 million shillings to support them. The fund's drive was sponsored by Standard Media Group. It was launched at the Muthaiga Golf Club in a gala dinner that incorporated top corporate executives, sponsors and well-wishers. Speaking on behalf of Standard Media Group CEO Sam Shalay, Business Manager Fred Kirui said the company is committed to boosting education standards in the country by giving needy students an opportunity to pursue their dreams.
Joining Strathmore was a bit of a struggle. My parents had to sell all the cows they had for me to join Strathmore. Fortunately, I got a 50% scholarship to do my CPA. And I was still doing my CPAs. When I was in Section 2, I approached Dr. McPhee. At that moment, he wasn't in a position. I just became persistent. After my Section 4 exams, I went and approached him again. Fortunately, there were some interviews for some scholarships and I got to attend one. So he directed me, I attended the interview and luckily I passed and got the scholarship.
We've got to be people who try to produce leaders at every level. Every family has got the father and the mother as leaders of that family. They've got to be the ones who transmit values. And don't forget, work. You know, if you go to a building site and you see men moving machines, not so much today, but in the old days, they used to be singing as they work. Because work makes you a better man. Work makes you a better woman. We become better people when we work seriously.
Life is what you make of it, goes a common saying, and that is exactly what Margaret Wakesho, a woman living with HIV in Voi, has in mind. Margaret has transformed from dealing in illicit brews to being a renowned basket weaver in Voi. Sharma Manyi brings us his story.
Praise and thanksgiving fill the lips of Margaret and her husband Maurice Ngala. Content as they are now, though, this is not the tune this couple from Voi Town has always danced to. In 2001, Margaret got a big blow in her life.
Nikawa nimelazwa Moi Hospital hapa Voi, na nikapimwa nikapatikana mimi ni mmoja wa HIV.
Hasa baada ya kama mwezi mmoja na mimi nikaona sasa hizi dawa si za kusaidia, acha na mimi nijiangalie, sije nikaanza kugonjeka nikashindwa, na yeye akishindwa hasa itakuwa nani atasaidia mwenzake.
Sadly, this condition led to rejection by those close to her.
Kwa tena hapa nikaja nikalemewa, mume wangu akanipeleka, watoto wangu akanikataa. Mamangu alikuwa hajafariki, akawa hawataki kunisongelea. Majirani wakawa hawezi kunitembelea kabisa, hawataki. Mume wangu tukawa tumebaki wawili.
Ndivyoona sasa ametengwa, nikajua ni sababu ya hii. Nilimwambia tu hutakufa leo wala kesho, labda nihame na mimi nirudi kwetu tunao.
At the time, Margaret was selling local brews for a living, a job that got her on the wrong side of the law. With support from her husband, she took that moment to weave a new life for herself. Quite literally, garbage would be her treasure as she collects waste paper and bags out of which Margaret weaves baskets.
Nikaanza kushona fagio pia za cobbles. Basi fagio za cobbles zikawa nimekuwa maarufu sana katika mji wa Voi.
Her creative work of art has seen her business prosper, getting popular in Voi Town. On a good day, she takes home 1,000 shillings, and on a bad day, she can end up making no sales at all. Margaret has since started a women's group where she teaches them the art of weaving. Margaret says that she was not going to play victim and sit back expecting help, but that she would help herself. She only has one regret about the government.
Hata chakula msaada wa serikali kama vile ninaona walemavu hawatumii madawa kama hizi madawa tunazotumia sisi. Na mlemavu amelengwa sana na serikali kuliko mimi wa HIV.
And as they sing away, Margaret hopes that positivity shall be the thread with which more HIV positive people weave their lives. Sharma Manyi, KTN.
Welcome back to KTN Newsdesk. Now, KTN's Talent Search competition is for children under 12 years and seeks to recognize children with extraordinary abilities. And today, KTN visited Makini School, where one of the winners, 9-year-old Ryan Thuku, goes to school. Well, Ryan can read while blindfolded. The ultimate winner is the Kids Talent competition, which will win a fully paid trip to Dubai. The runners-up will not be left empty-handed and will find themselves being chauffeured, driven to school in a limousine. Ryan has also been invited to Israel to take an IQ test due to his rare talent.
Wow. Feel excited for the limo ride. I also want to thank my mom, the people who have supported me, and all the others that have not named them.
Well, time for business. The Kenya Tourism Board has launched Phase 1 of the Tourism Product Directory, an online platform showcasing Kenya's top tourist attraction sites, accommodation facilities and tour operators. Well, the directory is aimed at giving potential tourists an easy time when planning for their trips to Kenya as an ongoing effort to revive the sector, which has been hit hard by significant drop in international visitors. The directory includes attraction sites from the counties with a rich diversification innovation into cultural, sports, nature and the traditional products, sandy beaches and safari products, while phase 2 of the directory, which the Tourism Board says will begin immediately, will include restaurants, tour guides and travel agencies, also in efforts to grow both domestic and international tourism. The government is set to begin global advertisement campaigns at a cost of 140 million shillings.
Out there, people think about Kenya in terms of a very narrow product line. And this is the reason why we felt, working closely under our parent ministry and also with the World Bank and the stakeholders, that we need to expand our product range and we need to talk about the attractions and the good things that are happening in this country. And this is what this directory we intended to be in terms of adding more information, especially from the counties.
This initiative, which we are launching today, complements our strategy and plans to improve our competitiveness and market Kenya as the preferred tourism destination of choice in East Africa and beyond.
National carrier Kenya Airways is set to resume its normal operations to Tanzania following a last-minute effort to resolve a standoff between Kenya and Tanzania. Last week, the Tanzanian Civil Aviation Authority had announced that it would limit KQ's frequencies into Tanzania to a 14-week, down from 42, after talks between both governments failed to resolve issues on the bilateral air service agreement. The flight cancellations would have a negative impact on Kenya Airways revenue that sank into a 10 billion shillings half-year loss. The airline is expected to announce steps to normalize flights into Tanzania later today. Yesterday, Foreign Affairs Cabinet Secretary Amina Mohamed announced the two governments are expected to hold talks in the next 4 weeks to iron out outstanding issues on the air service agreement. To resolve the impasse, the Kenyan government reversed an earlier decision to block Tanzanian registered tour vans from the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport in exchange to have flights into Tanzania restored. Let's now move on to some international news. Wildlife experts and officials from around 30 governments will gather from today in Botswana to confront the threat that wild elephants could be heading for extinction due in part to Chinese demand for ivory. Between 420,000 and 650,000 African elephants survive, but more than 100,000 have been killed in the past 4 years, according to a study published in the U.S. Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences Journal. Well, the African elephant is rated as vulnerable on the International Union for Conservation of Nature Index. And with that football action, we wind up this edition of KTN Newsdesk. Thank you very much for watching. I'm Betty Kialo.